Hey, third year students, how are you? Today we're going to look at superlatives. Okay, so this is a continuation of the lesson on comparatives. Okay, it's from Global Intermediate Course Book, Unit 9, right? But it's a different topic today. Okay, so we're going to talk about cities. Okay, I'm going to tell you about three cities that I've lived in the UK, specifically in England. Okay. Okay. So the first task is I want you to look at these three pictures, A, B, and C. Okay. And two questions. First, how do you imagine these three English cities compare? Okay. And the other question is, which would you prefer to visit and why? Okay, so note down some ideas on a piece of paper or talk to your partner for 3 minutes. Okay. Okay, so the cities in those pictures are three cities that I have lived in. Okay. And the task is today, I want you to listen to me talking about those three cities and two things. I want you to write down the names of the three cities that I talk about, and two, which of the three cities do I recommend to visit for a weekend? Okay, are you ready? Okay, so okay, so well, city A, that was Salisbury. So Salisbury is a city in the southwest of England. Okay, so I moved there when I was 8 years old, and it's a very small city, only around 40,000 people. Um, it doesn't have a university, but it has a cathedral. So Salisbury Cathedral is very famous and has the tallest spire in the country. Okay, well, Salisbury is it's a pretty city. Okay, it's quite pleasant in the summer. Um, and well, let me now talk about Manchester. So Manchester is the city in picture B. Okay, so Manchester is a very big city. It's obviously it was famous in the was famous for its role in the Industrial Revolution. Okay, so it's a big industrial city. There's a lot to do there. Obviously, it has a university, it has nightlife. Okay, and also it has two football teams, so Manchester City and Manchester United. Okay, and well, finally, city in picture C is Newcastle. Okay. Oh, by the way, I forgot to say that I was born in Manchester. Okay, and I lived there until I was 8 years old, and that is when I moved to Salisbury. Okay, but yeah, picture C is Newcastle. So I studied in Newcastle for 2 years at university. Okay, Newcastle is in the northeast of England. Okay, so Salisbury southwest, Manchester is the northwest, and Newcastle is the northeast of England. Okay, and it's the furthest away from London. Okay, um, so Newcastle it's a great city, right? It's really lively. For me, it's the liveliest city of the three. It has great nightlife. Manchester also has excellent nightlife, but in Newcastle, it's all more concentrated, right? Because it's not as big as Manchester. Okay, so Manchester is the biggest city of the three. Okay, also Newcastle has a football team too, Newcastle United. By the way, in Newcastle, the people don't call this city Newcastle; they say Newcastle, right? So they have a different accent there in the northeast. Okay, and what else can I say? Well, maybe maybe a summary. Okay, so I would say that Salisbury is the prettiest city of the three. I would say that Newcastle is the liveliest, at least for me. Manchester is the biggest. Okay. In terms of price, I'm sure that Salisbury is the most expensive. The south of England is generally more expensive than the north. Okay, so all in all, I would say. Oh, by the way, probably Salisbury is the least lively, right? Because, as I say, it's also the smallest. Um, it doesn't have so much to do there. The nightlife is nothing special really. Okay. To answer the question, I would say that for a weekend, I would recommend Newcastle. Okay, how did you do? So the three cities. Okay, so A was Salisbury, B Manchester, and C Newcastle, or Newcastle, as they say in that city. Okay, and the city that I would recommend to visit for a weekend is Newcastle. Okay. Okay, and well, just three more questions for you. Okay. One, can you tell me, well, what were two positives that I said about Salisbury? Okay. Two, why is Manchester famous? And three, where is Newcastle? Okay, so rewind the video, watch that listening part again, and answer those three questions. Okay, so answers to that second part. Okay, so first question, yeah, two positives for Salisbury. Okay, so two of these three are correct. So I said that Salisbury is pretty, okay, and also I said it's pleasant in the summer, and also correct is that it's famous for Salisbury Cathedral, okay. Okay, why is Manchester famous? It's famous for the Industrial Revolution, okay. And the other question, where is Newcastle? In the northeast of England. Okay, so here are some superlatives that I used in my talk. Okay, number one, Manchester is the biggest. Two, Salisbury is the most expensive. Three, Newcastle is the furthest from London. And four, Newcastle is the liveliest. Okay, a few questions. Have a look at those superlatives again and see if you can answer these questions. Okay, so number one, what are the four adjectives? Okay, so for example, in number one, Manchester is the biggest. The adjective is big. Okay, what are the other three adjectives? Okay, two. The adjectives take two adjectives take est in the superlative form. How many syllables do these adjectives have? Okay, so a number. Do they have one syllable, two syllables, three syllables? Okay. And question three, one adjective ends in Y. What does the Y change to in the superlative? So what letter does the Y change to in the superlative form? Okay, so pause the video, see if you can answer those questions, and we'll take a look at the answers together. Okay. Okay, so the first one, what are the four adjectives? Okay, so we have number one we said was big. Okay, number two, okay, Salisbury is the most expensive. Okay, so the adjective there is expensive. Okay. Okay, expensive. Okay. Three. Okay. Newcastle is the furthest from London. Okay, now that's an irregular adjective. Okay, it's far. Okay, and the other one, Newcastle is the liveliest. Lively. Okay, now two adjectives take est in the superlative form. How many syllables do these adjectives have? Okay, so well, we had number one, right? Manchester is the biggest. Okay, biggest. Okay, est. Okay, adjective big, syllables one. Okay. We also had furthest. Okay, the adjective is far. Again, that's one syllable. Okay, so adjectives that have one syllable take est in the superlative form. Okay, and the other question, yes, the answer is one. Okay, the other question, number three, one adjective ends in y. What does the y change to in the superlative? Okay, it was lively, wasn't it? That ends in y. Okay, now the superlative is the liveliest. Okay, so we lose the y and we replace it with I. Okay, okay, I. Okay, so let's look at those rules more fully. Okay, so yeah, first one syllable adjectives. Okay, add, let's see, what do we add? One syllable fast, the fastest. Okay, so we add est. Okay, okay. Also notice that with these superlatives, we use the definite article the fastest, the hottest. Now then, look at the hottest and the biggest, right? One syllable adjectives ending with one consonant, right? So hot, one consonant T, because the previous letter is a vowel O. The same with big, right? It ends in one consonant G because the previous letter is a vowel I. That's not the case in fast, right? Fast ends in how many consonants? Two, right? ST. Okay, so one syllable adjectives ending with one consonant, double the, what do we double? So we got TT, GG. So we double the final consonant, right? Final consonant, and add EST. Okay, so we've got the fastest, the hottest, the biggest. Okay. Adjectives ending in Y. Okay, do you remember what we said? Change the Y to, do you remember? I, right? Like in funniest, prettiest. And add, what do we add? EST. Yeah, so it's I and then EST. So it's IEST. Funniest, prettiest. Okay, two or more syllables. Adjectives, so two or more syllable adjectives. Okay, so we need here most, right? And it's most plus what? Because we have expensive, we have the most expensive. So important here is it's only the adjective, right? So most plus adjective. Yeah, that's different from the others, right? Because here they take IEST, funniest to prettiest, and these take EST, fastest, hottest, biggest. But these don't take anything. It's just the adjective. Expensive, important. Okay, the most expensive, the most important. Irregular adjectives. Okay, so good, the best, bad, the worst, and far in American English it's the farthest, but I didn't say this, right? Because I'm British, so I said the, do you remember? The furthest. Okay. Okay, and a few more things to think about. Okay, so the opposite of most is least. So you may remember that I said Salisbury is the least liveliest. Okay, so just change most for least. We often use superlatives with the present perfect and phrases that end in the blah blah blah. For example, Newcastle is the liveliest city I've ever lived in. Okay, so that's the present perfect, right? Have, I have, I've, and then lived, the past participle. Okay, Newcastle is the liveliest city I've ever lived in. Salisbury Cathedral has the tallest spire in the country. Okay, so that's a phrase that ends with in the something, right? So that's typical with superlatives. Okay. Okay, guys, I would like to know what the tallest building in your country is. Okay, so in the United Kingdom, it's a building called the Shard in London. Okay, so what is the tallest building in your country? 2, tell me what is the liveliest city you've ever visited. Okay, so I said to you that the liveliest city I've lived in is Newcastle, right? Because there's so many bars and concerts, and there's always something to do. There's great nightlife. Okay. Okay. So, what is the liveliest city you've ever visited? And the other question: what is the most expensive city you've ever visited? Okay. So, the most expensive city in the UK is London, of course. And that's probably the most expensive city I've ever visited. Okay. Okay, so write your answers to those 3 questions in the comments section, and I'll see you next time.